All right, so hi everyone. Thank you so much for watching Leaders for Good. Today we are introducing Mia LaMotte. She is a brand disruptor and anti-image consultant, super badass woman, and we are so excited to begin with her. But first, I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Sarah Delacour. I'm with No BS Social. I'm a reinvention stylist, and I am the co-founder of But First Shopping. And this is Joshua.
I'm Joshua. I'm with Louisiana, and I'm a professional photographer who specializes in helping businesses capture what they do. Because ultimately, right now in COVID times, businesses, if they don't have good images or they are not sharing the right story, they're not getting business. And so if you're telling the right story, you're going to have a lot of a different situation, and life is going to be a little easier. And then I recently joined Sarah in But First Shopping. So
But first.
Yeah.
But first coffee, but first shopping. I used to call it But First Shopping too. But it's But First Shopping.
But First Shopping.
Yes, something like that.
Yeah.
Love that. Awesome. So I'm going to just give you a quick introduction on Mia LaMotte, and then we're going to dive right into it. So Mia LaMotte is the founder and CEO of LaMotte International, a full-service image consulting and personal brand coaching firm. She helps others be seen in the way they want to be seen. She does this by helping people strategically communicate their story through what they wear, how they communicate, and how they show up online. She's passionate about helping people become more of themselves and live unapologetically. She teaches you the rules so you know which ones to break. Originally from Louisiana, she now lives in North Carolina with her partner, Sanford, and their 3 fur babies. Mia knows how to throw down in the kitchen and creates new dishes easily. She loves playing a friendly game of poker, tennis, and what some might consider adventure sports, like jumping out of planes and ziplining. Mia is a certified image consultant and transformation coach who has helped hundreds of her clients become better versions of themselves. Transformation is her superpower. So Mia, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit.
Sure. I am Mia LaMotte. I'm an image consultant and brand activator, transformation coach. Like, I help people transform themselves from the inside out.
Cool.
Yeah.
I love that. Your story says, I read a little bit about your bio. And your bio says you help people be seen and share their stories through the clothing they wear. Is that true? Is that correct? I think.
Yes, that is true. So a lot of us get dressed to not be seen, right? A lot of people will throw something on because they don't want people to notice them. Like, I want to run into the grocery store today, so I don't want anyone looking at me because I haven't done my best today, or I haven't put on the best that I could have today. And I think that, you know, I really want to encourage people to show up the way that they really want people to see them. And in order to do that, they have to be cognizant of it.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Totally. Obviously, Sarah is doing something different today. She's wearing something nice and eye-catching.
Absolutely. She's dressing for me.
Thank you. That and my hair. I need to get my hair cut, and it's like it's out of control short kind of now. You know, I'm at the 11 weeks too long, and I'm like, oh my God, how do I'm actually trying to hide it. So.
Well, it looks fabulous, Sarah.
Thank you.
You're hiding it to be seen, though, right? Because you don't want people to actually see that you haven't had your hair cut. But I mean, we're in a pandemic right now, so I think you'll be forgiven.
Dang right, right? Thank you, Mia. So tell me what, you know, the typical solutions in your industry that most companies, you know, try to solve for their clients, but it actually doesn't solve anything.
Absolutely. So I had to have this experience on my own in order to get it, right? So I have done both. I've had an image consultant I've gone through transformational trainings, and none of them quite did the trick, right? There was pieces missing from both. So what I decided was that, you know what, we need to put these two together in order for people to get it. So you can't really just work on the outside and have new clothes and new hair, although all of that does help, right? It helps you. But we also can't do all this intrinsic work and then it not reflect on the outside. So I wanted to combine the two. And I think that for me, coupling that with who we are at our core, not just like who we show up as, but who we are at our core from a DNA standpoint. I think that's super important for us to show our heritage and show where we're from, and all of those things be part of how we get dressed and how we show up in the world.
Beautiful.
I like that, because I know, especially particularly in the business world, there seems to be an emphasis on the exterior presentation. So you've got to look nice, you've got to be professional, you got to look strong and have a good presence. But then, like you were saying, the internal world gets neglected, and that's when people get stressed and they're overworked, and they end up going down a path that really they're not inspired to do in the first place. But at the end of it, they're going, how the hell did I get here?
Yeah, I think the most important thing that we can do for ourselves is to get to know ourselves really well, and not from a place of, oh, you know, I don't like to eat my eggs over easy, which is something, right? At least you're saying, I like my eggs a certain way. But a lot of us are living out of somebody else's paradigm. So we're living out of who our parents taught us to be, or who our teachers taught us to be, or a mentor or something like that. And really, we've forgotten who we are at our core. So I tell my clients, like, look back at who you were as a child, and usually you'll find some clues there.
I love that. I love that.
100% on that. Yeah. Yes.
Well, Sarah and I actually have been doing a lot of recovering of our inner child and reflecting on past stories or things that happened when we were younger that we haven't quite, I guess, integrated into ourselves. And I've noticed through that process, it actually brings up a lot of things, and you go, wait, this isn't actually me. This isn't what I want. This is what our parents or grandparents or however far along it goes back ends up getting integrated into our habits, our lifestyle, our way of thinking, and the clothes that we wear. It's like every part of our life gets affected from it.
It does. And even our money stories, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if your parents ever said, money doesn't grow on trees. Like, mine said that all the time, right? And it's like, actually, they kind of do. It kind of does, but whatever. My point is this, right? Like, we live out of these contexts that don't belong to us. And when I said, you know, go back and look at what you were as a child or how you behaved as a child. Like, I lived in a rural area, right? So we got to play outside all the time. But I hated it because my mom used to force me to go outside. And it was really hot. I grew up in South Louisiana. Yeah. But as I was playing outside, I was the leader. I was the person leading my cousins. I have 34 first cousins.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I grew up with there were like 7 of us that are around the same age. And so I used to lead them. Like, if we played school, I was the teacher. If we played church, I was the priest. Like, I was always the person leading whatever we were doing. And so a lot of people, you know, especially as a woman, you get told, you know, not to be bossy and not to, you know, be too assertive or too aggressive. And those things actually tamper down who I naturally was. And, you know, I spent my whole adult life trying to discover who I was, when really it was, you know, who I was already apparent when I was 5. Right? Yeah.
I can relate to that. Actually, through my own self-discovery, I discovered that even when I was a little kid, like looking back to when I was 3, I don't know where this idea came from, but my innate desire was actually to protect my parents from themselves, because they weren't able to look after me. And so I was like, okay, well, if no one's going to look after me, I'm going to look after myself and other people. And so even though, like outwardly, I was still rebellious and, well, I was loud and rambunctious, as Sarah remembers. I love smiling, but then that shifted, and it's like I noticed more and more that responsibility became such a strong force in me. And then having to let go of that, like I noticed the way that I dressed ended up affecting me. So there was periods where I dressed like a lot of other people, where I'm not, I mean, this isn't my flashiest color, but this is kind of embracing I love the textures and the colors, but how I used to dress was with dark colors, blacks, whites, reds, blues eventually. But I mean, ultimately, it was basically what you see around with a lot of other people, but with my own kind of mini twist to it.
Yeah, and actually what you're wearing right now, from what I can see based on my monitor, is that that shirt has the same color in it that you have in your personal coloring, right? So it's inherent to you. So your hair color, your skin color, both of those are actually in that shirt. And I can't tell whether your eyes are green or blue.
They're blue.
Okay. So with this shirt on, they have like a green tinge because the shirt is warm. And the reason, the point that I'm making is that because you're wearing this, it's an inherent color to you. So it makes you way more approachable. Right. So right now you're super approachable because your clothes aren't really standing out for me to actually have a conversation with you. So right. You're probably way more comfortable wearing something like this too, based on what you've told me about your personality.
Right. I like that.
Yeah. And then Sarah's like, see me, I want to be seen. I love bright colors and I'm going to wear them, and I'm going to wear them all over, right? I have them on my lip. I have them in my hair. I have them on my, in my shirt. So I think that it's super important for us to even realize that and recognize that what makes us comfortable and what makes us us, like it's instinctive. It's not what somebody else says.
Totally.
Absolutely. The colorful look that I have going on was like a breakthrough for me, because 2 years ago, I was in an abusive relationship and I hid, because anytime I got attention, he would be angry or accuse me of cheating on him or something like that. And so I used to dress up, in bright colors before he came into my life. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to get in trouble anymore. So I wore his clothes, and I was one of the people that hid, and I gained a lot of weight and or even baggier clothes. And then after I left, this bright, colorful, as flashy as possible, glittery as usually as I can now, is kind of like a big, like a revenge, but it's also like a huge breakthrough of like, I'm never hiding myself again out of fear or for anyone else or playing small, so.
Yeah, thank you for saying that, because I think that a lot of people don't even realize that they're doing that. Right? Mm-hmm. The messages from him were probably really, really, really subtle to you, but you also knew, like, I better not shine too much, right? Because we're taught that as children too. Like, you need to tamper down just a little bit. You don't want to outshine your parents. You don't want to outshine your siblings, and you don't want to outshine your spouse or your boyfriend. And if it's somebody, you were in a codependent relationship with, mm-hmm. then, game over. And you were also, like you said, you gained some weight. You probably gained that weight to protect yourself, right, from him and all of his ideas and all of the things that he was saying to you or subtly mentioning to you. Yeah.
So I want to ask a question, particularly for our viewers today. What's something that they can do, say, if they're in a place and they recognize that they're not wearing the clothes that they want to wear, or they're not being the person that they want to be, because of course there's that two sides. It's like looking like the person you want to be, but then also living as that person you want to be. What are different things or tricks that they can use that are accessible for everyone listening today?
Yeah, I would say first, like, identify the person that you want to be. So you have to know who that is and be able to, like, describe that person to a T. Are you the kind of person that's going to wake up and make their bed? Are your clothes in your closet in an orderly kind of way? Where do you shop? What do you like to buy? Do you want your clothes to be form-fitting? Do you want your clothes to be loose? Like, those things you really need to know about yourself. So get to know yourself really, really well. Take a look at how you want to show up in the world, and then start intentionally doing that. And that's how you can absolutely start that today, and you don't need any help with that, right?
And that can go for both the physical appearance as well as the internal. I guess to tie it in is, I would liken it to, I guess, if you want to be somebody that also gives to other people or helps other individuals, say like an old man crossing the street and he's kind of struggling, you run up next to him and it's like, you just go for it. And I mean, sure, there might be fears. Like I actually did this the other day. That's why it comes up as an example, is I saw an old man passing this or crossing the street, but he was struggling. And normally I get fearful and it's like, I go, what do I do? Do I go? Do I not go? Do I go? And this time it was just instinctual. I just went for it and ran into the middle of the street and started pushing him along because he was in a wheelchair, and he was so appreciative. It was actually quite a special moment. I'm so glad I did it.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. We have to trust ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
right? We I don't know about you guys, but most humans, like, we've been taught our whole lives not to trust ourselves. Like, the government knows better, your parents know better, your boyfriend knows better, your girlfriend knows better. Like, you don't know how to conduct yourself or how to live your own life. Like, we have to follow those instincts, because the connection that you made with that guy, right, in the middle of the street, the self-satisfaction for actually helping somebody like that, like, those things actually build you up as a person. So why would you not do that?
Yeah.
Not help him. Yeah.
And I recognize for myself the tale that was going in is like, I was fearful because I was worried about what other people would think, or I would get rejected from the guy, or all these other weird scenarios that clearly weren't real. Or, I mean, sure, they may be a possibility, but if anything, it's like, at least you made an effort. Even if he denied me, it's like, you made an effort to actually try and help someone. And I think it's important to honor that too. And I guess to tie it in, and I feel like you do this as well. So to just be easy on ourselves if we make mistakes. And if we find out we don't like something when we try it, then try something else.
Yeah. One of my mentors, going back to, how you thought you might be perceived, right? One of my mentors says that, we have expectations of people and they live into them based on the way that we think about them, right? So if you think somebody is going to think something badly of you, you're going to behave in a way that makes them think badly of you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I love that she presents that for us. And then the other thing that I really want to say is, like, what they think of us is none of our business. What other people think about us is none of our business. And that's positive and negative, or what we perceive as positive and negative. Like, we totally have to get over that.
Absolutely.
And it takes time.
It does take time. It absolutely takes time. And it takes, like, I think once we get to know ourselves really well and we lean into, like, who we are and what we came here to do, then it gets a whole lot easier.
Totally. And I'm curious, do you have any examples with some of the people that you've worked with where you've seen that transformation from where they started out to who they become? And I'm curious, what kind of success stories have you witnessed or helped create?
Yeah, absolutely. So probably the longest standing client that I've had, we've been working together for, I want to say right now we're going into either the third year or maybe even our third year.
Nice.
And she came to me for branding work. Like, she wanted to work on her logo and her website and her this and her that. And we did some of that work early on, but what ended up happening was that she was a consultant. She's an attorney. She was a consultant for healthcare facilities, so either a hospital or for a physician's practice. And now she's a coach. Like, she wants to coach other women to do what they want to do and live out their purpose. Now, she's still practicing and she's still doing that other consultant work, but the transformation that took place between the two of us was so transformative for her. She wanted to help others have this same transformation. Mm-hmm. So that's probably my biggest story, probably the best one that I have.
I like it.
Yeah. And I'm always talking about her. So, because I mean, it's almost like we become friends through the process. Yeah. And like, the transformation, like, she doesn't even recognize herself now. And she'll tell you that.
And I imagine that's such an intimate process because, I mean, you're ultimately seeing the nitty gritty of that individual. And
Mm.
it's like you really get to know them.
I do. And people have to be open.
Mm.
There are a lot of us that'll get into these situations and we're not really open to telling the truth about, our insecurities, like with what we're wearing, or even like what the truth is for us. I remember when I had an image consultant come over, she's one of my mentors too. And she asked me, she was like, well, tell me, as a child, did your parents validate you? And I was like, I don't even know what that means. So I'm going to have to say no. Right. So me being open enough to say that to her instead of saying, well, of course they did. Yes, they did. Yes. Like wanting to have the right response instead of telling her the truth. I feel like that opened up a whole new door, and it also opened me up for a real transformation instead of just like changing my clothes or changing my hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Inside out transformation. Our world, like I'm sure you see on social media as well, so many people are showing up because they feel they have to show up a certain way, and they're not showing up as their true authentic self. And I've even met some marketers, digital marketers as well, that are like, you're not supposed to post personal stuff on social media. And with my clients, I teach them to just show up as themselves. If you like, who have you always wanted to show up as, and what have you always wanted to say but have been afraid to say it? This is the time. It's 2020. The more you have an opinion, the more you share your story, the more you are you, the more you're going to attract all your ideal people, instead of, just the vague ones. And yeah, some people they find it very difficult to be their true self. And I'm sure a lot of people also find it very difficult to dress their true self, because for some reason we have this social stigma that we have to blend in and not stand
Hello,
out.
middle and high school. Like, what?
Yeah. So true. It's so funny though, because like in high school I was a gothic, but I did it to like scare people. I didn't want to get bullied, right? I was bullied in middle school, and then high school I was like, I'm gonna be gothic, and then everyone's gonna be afraid of me, and then I don't have to deal with bullies.
I know exactly what you mean. Like, it's so crazy how I love what you said, because I agree with that, right? I'm almost like the anti-image consultant. And I've actually started not even using that as a term when I'm helping people with their work, because first of all, I don't want people thinking I'm judging them. Because a lot of times, like when I would go to, networking meetings, when we got to meet in person, people would automatically think that I'm judging the way that they're dressing, right? The other thing that they would do is ask me about an outfit that they have on. And I'm like, do you really want my honest opinion, or do you want me to just kind of, rub your ego today? Right. So I actually don't even like to use that term. And I think that you made a great point when you said it's 2020, like, be yourself. Most people today, like, I think we're living in a great time, because now we actually get to say what's on our minds. We get to be who we are, and we get to do it in such a way where, like, these are my people. These are not my people. Like, I do it intentionally so people that are not my people don't come around.
Yeah, I love your social media marketing. Like you're awesome. I love your branding, and I love what you talk about and sharing your story. Yeah, you're just and like one of those badass, not afraid. You're bold and brave. It takes a lot of courage to be yourself online and in your style, to be seen. So
yeah, that's what I love about Chrissy Teigen. She is unapologetic about who she is. Do you guys know who she is?
no, but I'm gonna have to
You
look her
must
up.
look her up. It's Chrissy Teigen. She's married to John Legend.
Cool.
And she's very vocal about everything. Like, she has an opinion about a lot of stuff, and she also shares a lot of their personal journey, and a lot of people do not like her. And the fact that she is so open and so bold and so brave is one of the reasons why I like her. We're attracted to the thing that we are, right? So you're attracted to bold and brave because that's what you are. Right? We like to see we see in other people what we have in ourselves.
Cool.
Yeah.
That mirror.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
love that mirror.
Yes. And on the flip side, right? And on the
Yes.
flip side, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. How did you come to your aha moment of, pursuing this journey and being on this path?
Oh, great question. All right. So I went to, do you guys know who Tony Robbins is? Yes.
Yeah.
So I went to UPW, what is it? Unleash the Power Within. Yeah. And it was in Florida in probably March or something like that. And we were in this freezing ass cold room. I don't know if you've ever been to any of his events. It is freezing. Like you need to bring 4 or 5 layers and you need to bring it's cold. And one of the exercises we had to do was really think about what do we want to do as a profession? What do we want to do with the rest of our lives? If money didn't matter, what would we do? And that was like a foreign concept to me. I grew up in a family where you get a job with benefits and or you get a trade and you work for the rest of your life. Like that's the family I grew up in. And to have someone say to me, oh, you actually have a choice, right? I didn't get the whole choice thing until later, but you have a choice in how you show up in your own life. And it was super empowering for me. And so I did some research and found out that image consultant was actually a thing, and really started on the path to hone those skills while I was still working for state government. And then in one of my image trainings, one of my mentors said, you really should do some kind of personal development program. I had done Tony Robbins, I got it, but I didn't really get it. And then I dove deep into transformational training. So that's how I kind of did all of it at the same time, and left my full-time position 3 years ago.
That's awesome.
Full-time. Yes.
And I guess, judging by the time, like you probably ended up getting your biggest success story fairly shortly after, because you've had that individual for 3 years.
Yeah. And I mean, I had clients before, right? So I was working part-time in my business, but I knew that if I really wanted to take off, I was going to have to do this full-time. I knew I wasn't going to get rich at my job because, hello, I work for state government. And then, like, I was drained by the end of the day. I didn't want to, there was an integrity piece for me. Like, I didn't want to be on riding both horses, so to speak. Wanted to ride one and ride it into my sunset, not their retirement in 30 years. Here's your benefit package. Be well, kind of horse in the sunset. Yeah.
I'm curious, for someone who's not used to like considering themselves or understanding that they have the choice, and maybe they're afraid of making the wrong decision or something like that, is there a guide or a tool that you tend to recommend for knowing when something actually is what you really want, or something that is the right direction for someone?
Yeah, your inner voice. Like, this goes back to trusting yourself, right? You know exactly whether something is wrong for you. Like, okay, so here's the thing that I would say. Make sure that your yes is a yes. So for me, if it's a hell yes, I'm doing it. If I'm on the fence about it, I check in with myself. Is this fear speaking, or is this dangerous? So the fear is the false evidence appearing real, right? I'm just scared, so I'm going to say no, but make it feel like it's danger. If it's that one, then it's a yes too, right? The whole thing about making the wrong decision, like, you can't make a wrong decision, right? We can't make wrong decisions, because even if we make one that costs us money or injures us or does something like that, we've learned from it, right? We've learned from the experience. So I don't think that we make wrong decisions. I think we do need to, like, my partner, he likes to think about things for a really long time, and it aggravates the shit out of me, because I can make a decision like this, right? I already know. And he needs to think about it, but that's his way of processing things, right? So he needs to process in that way. So I give them some space, but I also say like, you know, we need a deadline on this one. We need 48, 24, whatever the time period is. And the other thing about making decisions, like when you make them quickly, you typically make the right one because you're making it from the gut.
Totally.
Right? So, and then there's this great book by Raymond Charles Barker called The Power of Decision. Amazing book. Highly recommend.
Beautiful.
Did that answer your question? I hope so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great.
We just got canceled for the recording.
Oh, no, not yet. Not yet. We're good.
Okay.
First of all, Mia, what are you working on right now? And how can we take action with you? How can we continue? How can we join you in whatever it is that you're doing?
Absolutely. So I am working on a Mastering Your Money Mindset retreat. That I'm hosting for my paid group next Friday and Saturday, so December 11th and 12th. And we're going to be talking about this kind of thing, right? Where we're using our self-limiting beliefs, or we're using somebody else's paradigm, and it's hindering us from making the kind of money that we want to make in our lives. Because trust me, if you don't have the money that you need, you cannot make an impact. Like, you just can't. You're going to be invisible. People won't know who you are. Life sucks without money. Been there, done that. Like, it actually sucks. Like, having money is so much better. So that's what I'm working on. And I have a group called the Disruptor Society, which is a paid community. You come in for 6 months. We work on your brand discovery. And sorry, it's for women only. I do work with men, but I work with men one-on-one, or if somebody decided to get a pod of men together, I would definitely do some work with them. But I have one-on-one male clients. And then also Brand Disruptors Community. It's a free Facebook group that you can come in. I do weekly trainings in there. So I like to provide value to people who might not be able to afford to work with me like right now. And then when they can, like, here I am, let's do it.
I like
Beautiful. Amazing. Yeah. I love it. I love your brand Disruptors Facebook group. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, and I had somebody say, do you really want to use that name? Like disruption, disruptive? I was like, yes, I want to use this name. And at first it took me back, and I was like, do I want to say that? And because they were questioning it, right? So I had to realize that that's their context, and people who don't like disruptor, they're not my people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So trust yourselves, guys, like, for real. I guess that's the biggest takeaway today. Learn how to trust yourself.
Learn how to trust yourself.
Yeah. Amen to that.
Amen. And if you have one sentence you would really like the audience to know before we end this, what would that be?
Get to know yourself really well.
Get to know yourself.
And I mean, like, all the ugly, all of it. Like, dig deep. Get to know yourself really well.
Dig into the darkness.
The rest of this will come. Yes.
Beautiful.
That's how you create a great brand.
Yeah.
That's true. Lots of shadow work. Ooh.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, Mia, thank you so much for joining us today. It was such a pleasure to have you. So excited. We're going to post all of Mia's links right below on this YouTube video. And if you're on the Anchor platform, can we add that in the description?
Yeah. All the links will be on the podcast as well.
Perfect. And all the links will be on Instagram and Facebook and everywhere else. So thank you so much for watching. And thank you, Mia, for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.